I'm Draco Self-Important, and I think you should listen to me. Today, you're gonna listen to me talk about this Danky Jabo, sure, video. Um, so, as usual, I only make content about people that I either like and think can take constructive criticism, or think are awful, horrible humans and want to yell at for an extended period of time. Um, this is the former. I believe this dude's Jesse. I'm almost certain. I just looked at the Instagram, unless I forgot in like a second. Um, and I watch his videos pretty frequently. Um, he got caught up in the Alex Elmsley shit because he used to edit for him, and they tried to like drag him into the. Yeah, I don't give a shit who he used to edit for. That's like not super important to me. At any rate, I think that Jesse is a dude who is quite a bit younger than I am, who isn't. And it seems that he's well-meaning. He tends to come at, the reactionary space from a place of good faith. Um, and so. While watching this most recent Lilly Tino video and watching other videos where he's covered Lilly Tino as well, I can't remember if he's covered any other trans people off the top of my head, but like, there are some things that kind of bump up against my sensibilities, and I don't think that they are intentional. And so my intention here is to kind of break down this most recent video, and affirm the things that I agree with, and also call out some of the things that I'm like, um, because I think that he's incredibly close to getting the point. So I don't know, man. Well, we shall see. Let me boop 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 bring y'all on over to play this video, and I might speed this up a little bit just for the sake of time because this is an hour-long video that we're going to be watching. So, but if he sounds like a
Lilly
chipmunk,
Tino has finally
I'll let you know.
responded to all the controversy that she has been put under for the last few years, and as your favorite AI language model, I thought we could prompt a response to it together. For new viewers, I'm not actually AI. That was a joke. It's just a 3-point lighting setup and a surreal looking bloke. And yes, I still cannot believe that I need to clarify that. I was getting comments in the last video calling me AI, and I would look at them, like edit their comments in real time 30 minutes later, profusely apologizing for doing so. It was pretty great to watch. But what's just as real as me are the recent events that Lilly Tino is responding to here. Namely, her addressing the allegations that have been levied against her by thousands of people in her comment section. So let's give those a look. But before that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because I just graduated,
Hey, me
as you'll
too.
see from my community post that gets more likes
Like and
than an
subscribe to
average
me
video.
too.
Not too sure how to feel about that, but a lot of people like
You
J.K.
also
Rowling,
should
she graduated at some point
like
as
and
well. So if
subscribe
you
to
don't
him.
want me to end up like her, I recommend you subscribe to the channel. Because if anything goes wrong from now, then I know who to blame. It's you. You personally.
In the
Anyways, let's
description,
get this started.
I
there's
do
a
not
link
have
to
a
his
child,
channel.
nor have I ever been married. I am not stalking my imaginary ex-wife or anyone. There is a fake report that presumably came from some AI.
That was me, sorry. Well, at least according to the audience, that must have been, some sort of AI mistake that we made on this channel. My bad, Lilly Tino. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to slander your name or anything along those lines. But I will say, the start of this video is very telling, and it is kind of what I expect. And I think she is fully within her right to respond like this to a lot of these allegations, by the way. Because those comments, those really long, weird, copy and pasted comments that you'd see in like every one of her comment sections, and even just the comments like on videos about her, including mine. People who haven't even seen my video would just copy and paste that bastard comment saying, "This is not a woman, it's Nick Contino, and they stalked an ex-partner and an employee somewhere, and I'm gonna levy all this shit and not provide any evidence for it, and it's all just a bunch of made-up hooey. But because it's about someone that I don't like, I don't need any evidence for it." It's like, yeah, good mindset, that one. It's gonna get you real far in life.
California law. But fun fact, I didn't live in California in 2016. The first time I ever stepped foot in California was in 2018, and I didn't move here till 2020. I will also add that I have been stalked. It was very weird and gross, but I have never stalked anyone. There's also talk of me getting sued for my bathroom pictures at Disney. As far as I know, I am not getting sued, and I don't expect to, because I didn't do anything wrong.
You did do something wrong. I do believe her when she says she's not getting sued because the person who claimed to be suing
So I don't remember the specifics of the bathroom pictures. I don't remember if there were other people in the pictures. I generally think it's pretty weird to take pictures in bathrooms. Um, with the exception of like, I've seen people in places where there are laws that you have to use the bathroom associated with what's on your birth certificate, um, going to, those bathrooms because they're trans and they pass as their chosen gender. And, they go into the wrong bathroom essentially, and it looks ridiculous and it's, yeah, I don't know, man. Just generally the whole taking pictures in the bathroom thing, I have railed against cis people doing it to trans people, so it seems to me that for the sake of fairness, yeah. Um, but yeah, just to the reason that I'm not commenting about the specifics of it, I don't know specifically what she did to like give a more nuanced take about the intentions of the bathroom pictures. I know about some of the other stuff she's done at Disney that will be addressed in this, but
her, privated their account for unknown reasons. They don't want to make them public, probably because they lied about, suing her for publicity. Pretty difficult to fact check whether or not it was actually the person or how true the lawsuit was because the account is private once again. So who really knows? But I have no reason to not believe her. I mean, she definitely would know if she was being sued. Rule 1 of suing anyone, they need to know. But yeah, no, she did do something wrong. Like, she broke the rules of both Disneyland and also the law in Florida. You can't do that shit. You can't record people in the toilet, like, in public like that. It's just not acceptable. I got a lot of comments in my last video saying things along the lines of like, well, actually, it could be a lot worse than you're making it out to be because there are people who are trying to hide from maybe abusive ex-partners or something of the like that may have been pictured in said toilet, which is why it's such a problem. Which is true, fair enough, but the reason I didn't think of that is because, like, that could be said for any form of IRL live streaming. It doesn't need to necessarily be in the toilet. Like, if you're streaming outside, that could still happen, right? But it's perfectly legal to stream outside. The reason why it's not allowed to film or take pictures of people inside of a toilet isn't because you're trying to, I guess, hide the identity of the people in said toilet for reasons such as the ones that you brought up in the comments, which are valid reasons to be fair, but those aren't the reasons that the law considers, right? That's not why it's illegal. And if that's your problem with the whole taking pictures in the bathroom thing, then I feel as though you'd be a hypocrite to support any form of IRL live streaming. Maybe there's some flawed logic there, I'm saying something ignorant, but once again, feel free to let me know in the comments if you feel as though I am. I do understand, before you bring it up, that prolonged pictures in the toilet where it's just sort of one frame you're looking at, there's a lot higher likelihood to spot somebody who happens to be in said picture as opposed to an IRL live stream where they just sort of fly by in a couple frames most likely. So I do get that, and I do acknowledge that, but nonetheless, it's still a problem that I do think is worth considering, right? And that's not me defending Lilly at all, right? I do think that what she did in the toilets is fucked up and she shouldn't have done it. And if she got punished legally for it, I wouldn't be complaining.
Yes, 500,000 people or whatever number it is now have signed a petition to get me off of TikTok. But that doesn't mean it's going to do anything. If word of this petition ends up on someone at TikTok's desk, what they'll do is say, did Lilly violate our terms of service? The answer is no, so they will not ban me.
Yeah, that's facts. Like, this is one of the reasons why I didn't endorse or link the, I guess, the petition in my last video on Lilly Tino, because it just doesn't do anything, and anyone who thought it would do anything doesn't know very much about the internet. You can't just put a petition up on a creator that you don't like and have him fucking banned for life with no further investigation. I guess maybe part of the petition's goal was to, I guess, elicit a further investigation from TikTok towards Lilly Tino, who is alleged to have done things that go against community guidelines. Maybe she's found some loopholes or whatever that sort of skirt by those guidelines that don't get her banned. I'm not too sure either which way, but I was pretty confident from the start that the, petition wouldn't really do anything. Sure, someone made a
yeah, I mean, obviously, a petition to get someone banned is a pointless endeavor. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Just don't take pictures of people in bathrooms. Like, if you're alone in a bathroom and want to take a picture, sounds great. But if there are other people in the bathroom, a previous job, some work selfies, because there's a full-length mirror in the bathroom, and so if I was feeling particularly cute, I would take a picture of myself in the mirror in the bathroom. But, like, I feel like that's different, because there was no one else in there when I was doing that, because I would have felt really weird, even, like, just generally, like, being a weirdo taking, I don't like it.
petition to get me shut down. You could get a couple thousand people signing it, but it wouldn't do much, which is a good thing in my eyes, obviously. I'm sure it wouldn't be in a lot of other people's eyes, but, you know, for me personally, I like eating food.
There's a rumor that I was fired from a job for being creepy to a woman. The only time I have ever exited a job when it wasn't my choice was right before I became a content creator, and that was a part of a round of layoffs. I didn't do anything wrong, and I wasn't the only one let go. It was a money thing. There's something about weird dolls in my basement.
Yeah, I mean, that allegation is, like, completely fair enough from Lilly Tino in terms of their response to that, because it's like, oh, well, Lilly Tino didn't show any evidence that she didn't stalk or harass a lady. Well, fair enough, but there was no evidence that she did stalk or harass a lady and get fired for doing so. So, if you're not providing evidence for the allegation, why would she need to provide evidence against the allegation? Truthfully, how would that even be fucking possible? Like, you watching this video, your dad punched my cousin at some point in his life, and if you can't disprove that without a shadow of a doubt right fucking now, then you're dead to me, the entire universe, and we're fucking coming for you. We're gonna put a petition up and get your dad banned off of TikTok.
I do
I mean, I don't think that would, you know, I can't imagine my father on TikTok. I haven't talked to the dude in over 20 years, but you know, I don't think we would get mad about banning him from TikTok, most likely. However, dude, okay, this is going to get into more serious. I'm just trying not to straight up steal the video at this point, so.
not have a basement. I got 625 square feet, okay? I ain't got room for creepy dolls. This is a bad one, y'all. There's a video that goes around of me from about a year and a half ago when I was streaming and talking to people in my Discord. During that stream, we were making dirty jokes about vegetables. The person I was talking to in the clip was named Shelby. Shelby was playing along, and at one point, Shelby said that her mom was listening, and I pretended to be embarrassed, and I brought the mom into the joke, and it was really fun.
I've seen the clip. It's not that funny. Like, she has to sort of suck herself off at the end there. Like, look, I really regret this, but like the point of the clip was that it was this and that, and it was all. But it was really like it was fucking hilarious. I'll be real. I am a fucking comedian. Me, like I've had this career for a reason. I'm a jokester. Not more to say about it really, but I do regret it, and I shouldn't have done it. But it was funny though. Just saying. Well, you know how like with YouTubers and that, you go back to like a year and a half ago, you hope to see some change, some development, some sort of like difference in their videos nowadays. Improvement, ideally. But with Lilly Tino, I mean, self-admittedly, they were making jokes about vegetables a year and a half ago, and I guess they've upgraded now to sexual jokes about corn dogs and cake pops, which you've gone back a few steps nutritionally at least. I think there are more like phallic vegetables than phallic sweet items or baked items. So in terms of being grotesque, yeah, maybe she's improved a bit, but in terms of like, you know, nutrition, she's gone back a few steps.
So Shelby is a 25-year-old woman, or was at the time of the video. She had a full-time job at a major American airline. She had a partner that she lived with, and her mom lived with her and her partner. Shelby was a grown adult, but that didn't stop people from taking that clip out of context, saying, oh, Shelby's a kid, because you can't see Shelby and you can't see the mom, and you don't have the context of who they are.
Yeah, again, like you gotta back it at this point. Like people are just coming. This is what I said in the last video as well. People coming at Lilly with these baseless, untrue, made-up, false accusations, frankly, all you're doing is weakening the genuine arguments for her, because anybody reasonable, anybody who is actually looking at this in good faith, is now being forced to agree with her and side with her and defend her when it comes to these horrible, false accusations. If you want to take Lilly down, then do it fairly. Don't make shit up about them. It's just a horrible thing to do to someone. I've got to find this video now just so you know. It was outrageous to be.
So, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I just fully lost my train of thought there. I don't know, I will let him continue, and then hopefully, I'm sorry, I've got a frog in my throat, and I'm trying desperately not to cough in everyone's ear because I don't know what I'm doing yet and don't know how to mute my mic. So, here we are.
Be fair.
Be honest, Shelbert. Or do you enjoy yours?
Yeah, I'm not gonna play the whole video, but it was what she described, right? It was sexual jokes about vegetables or whatever the fuck, right? The fucking veggie, what's it called? Veggie World? You know the
Veggie
talking
Tales.
carrot and what's the vegetable show called?
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales! VeggieTales. VeggieTales, aye. VeggieTales is like pornography for Lilly Tino.
What the fuck?
She's making sexual jokes about vegetables.
I thought it was corn dogs.
Huh? No, that's now. This was a year and a half ago. She's evolved from vegetables to corn dogs.
Oh, it's American vegetables.
An
Sorry,
American
American
cucumber.
vegetables.
Wait, cucumber's a fruit. Cucumber's a fruit.
Fuck off.
Yeah, cucumber's a fruit, aye. Cucumber's a fruit. So that joke don't make sense. I'm so sorry for telling a joke that is technically.
No. Her saying fuck off to you're saying cucumber's a fruit is the appropriate response. That's so pedantic. Oh my lord. Yeah, tomatoes are fruit too. That doesn't mean you put them in a fruit salad. Come on, let's deal here.
Technically incorrect. My bad, guys. But yeah, this video asking if a minor likes his parts being you know what. I went Michaela Neguera there for a second. My bad, guys. Lilly Tino talking weirdly to a minor. But yeah, like she said, when you look at this video, you don't see the minor. You don't really know anything about the person that they're talking to. It's just completely made up. And anyone who is even thinking slightly critically would have watched this video and immediately thought, like their first thought, if they're looking at this with any type of good faith, would be, where's the fucking evidence that this is a minor? Because I'm not seeing it. It could literally be anybody behind that screen or voice. She could be talking to like a middle-aged actual miner down at the coalfields or something, and you could just take it out of context and lie about it being a person who is under the age of consent. And again, man, it's like, unless anyone provides any actual evidence that this is a minor, I'm inclined to believe Lilly Tino that it wasn't.
Let's talk about the flight attendant. This flight attendant claims that I was rude to the cabin crew on my way back from Orlando. First and foremost, I have never seen this person in my entire life. Second, I was flying back from Disney World. I was exhausted, and for the majority of the flight, I slept. I was not misgendered by anyone. In fact, one of the cabin crew on that flight was very kind to offer me a free little snack box because they recognized me, and I was very appreciative of it. People have started realizing that if they make up a story about me, they can get a lot of views, and that's not fair to you, the viewer, or to me.
Yeah, again, true. And I feel as though, I don't know if they were lying about it. I don't know if Lily's lying about it right now, but it's just two people telling stories with no evidence for either of them. It's just two anecdotes. Who knows which one's true? Once again, I'm inclined to just disregard both of them. Act as though it never happened. There's a strong possibility that the flight attendant made a video like that accusing Lilly Tino of being an arsehole, knowing it would get loads of views, and knowing that Lilly Tino most likely wouldn't respond to it, so he could just hop on, take the views, fuck off, and have a more successful career, I guess. Or maybe it is true, and Lilly Tino's just lying about it, but the fact that there's no evidence, and it really wasn't that incriminating of a story to begin with, which almost makes it more believable. So if it is a lie, then it was a smart lie to tell, because it wasn't so bad, like, that it portrays her as like a cartoon villain, but it was bad enough to, like, if it is true, be sort of a, come on, mate, like, fucking be nice to service workers, you clown. But again, man, I don't know. I'm not gonna say either which way, but I'm just sort of gonna disregard it.
There's also rumors that I am on a registered offender list. That's simply not true, and you can Google that. You can search my old name, Nick, or you can search my new name, Lily. My name is legally Lily, by the way. That's another rumor. The last thing I want to talk about is the rumor that I'm not actually trans, that I've been pretending to take hormones or pretending to get FFS. There are some trans people out there that call me he and call me by my old name, and they say that I'm hurting the cause. Like, really? Really? If you don't believe that I didn't get FFS, look at the video I posted a few months ago. It's undeniable. And as for me doing this just for money, let me tell you something. If I was doing this just for money, I would have stopped a long time ago. I could definitely be making more money in a different industry, but I'm not, because I like doing this. I care about it. I think it's important. There is one rumor that is true, though. I've been dancing around it for a long time. I didn't want y'all to know. I am, in fact, a total babe. Thank you in advance for respecting my privacy during this difficult time.
Okay, the end of the video was fucking whatever, but the first...
So here's the thing. As a trans creator, and as you can see, if you happen to be someone who managed to find your way here to watch this, I have like no subscribers. I've been doing this, 2-ish years. The channel has been around forever because I used to upload pictures of my kids for family or videos, whatever. But like, yeah, dude, you certainly could make more money doing just about anything than being a trans creator, unless you make some like really exceptional content. It's just there's a niche basically, and it's very hard to get picked up by the normie crowd, and if you're not making content about being trans, like that's not going to be interesting, and I mean, quite frankly, like content about being trans is not that interesting to a lot of trans people, especially if you have been out for a long time, because it's like just life. And so it's like, I don't really need to fucking talk about this. Like, if they weren't constantly trying to legislate against my existence, I really wouldn't talk about being trans anywhere near as much as I do in reality. But, here we are. Um, I mean, I don't know, man. To suggest that she is or isn't making rage bait, obviously rage bait. Like, I engage in some rage baiting behavior. I think, anyone with a good sense of humor online is gonna poke the bear a little, because why not, But
First couple minutes of allegations, I feel as though she was completely in the right to get on video and just call them all out for being a load of baloney. I actually think she handled that quite nicely. Like, if she wasn't angry or needlessly rude or horrible to anyone, just came in, said, hey, these aren't true, there's no evidence, and then went on her merry way. I respect that, genuinely, I do. Only thing I really disagree on there was that she did nothing wrong with the whole bathroom photos thing. Like, no, you really fucked up there, you shouldn't have done that. And even if you personally don't think you did anything wrong, to sit there and act as though you can't even fathom or understand why people had a problem with you doing what you were doing is incredibly either disingenuous or foolish. So after that video, a creator by the name of Mariah May Kay did an interview with Lilly Tino, and they're also a transgender woman, so I feel as though it's going to be more of a, like, I guess, educated perspective on the matter, interviewing Lilly Tino. There's a lot of hard-hitting questions, or so I've heard, so I figured we'd give this a watch as well. I'll put it on 1.5 times speed, and let's go.
I started to.
So before we get into this, I think that the person who is interviewing Lily is kind of a disingenuous tool. Strikes me as one of the T channel, like, I don't know, the kind of shit that I do not enjoy, because it's way more about a gotcha than it is about any kind of constructive criticism or like giving a shit about whether or not people are actually like good people with good intentions, or it's very much just a haha, and I don't enjoy that as style of content creation. So the way that this interview was conducted puts a bad taste in my mouth to begin with, and leaves me in a position where like you were saying, regarding the way that a lot of people approach her, I come at this defensive of her before she even opens her mouth in response, because the way that these questions are going to be asked rub me the wrong way. So, take that into consideration as well, I suppose.
Doing casually around the time that I started my transition. And I went viral on LinkedIn, weirdly, of all places to start with, and started building a following there, and then started building on TikTok as well. And by the time I got laid off from my tech job, I had a base of a following, and that's how I was able to start doing it for a living.
Okay, what is your definition of a woman?
Fucking hell, we're coming in just straight in with what is a woman? It's such an annoying question. I don't like that question, personally. I feel as though a much fairer question to ask is, what do you think a woman is? Or what is your personal definition of a woman? Because when you ask someone to definitively state what a woman is with the pure intention of trying to, like, fact check or I guess rebuke what their definition is, it's just a bunch of, like, debate bro nerdy bollocks. Like those.
Also, I agree with what he just said. It is debate bro nerdy bullocks. But that is, no one's ever asked that question in a way that is like genuinely intended to get an understanding of your perspective. It's always a gotcha. And if ever, my favorite response to that is, what is a chair? Because, if we want to talk about self-referential definitions not being valid definitions, a lot of common everyday things cannot be accurately defined to the exception of all other things without some sort of self-reference, and chairs are a pretty fantastic example of that. Because when you start, it's like, well, if it has three legs, is it still a chair? Does it need to have four legs? Does it need to have a back? Does it need to have arms? Does it, like, when does it stop being a chair and start being a stool? When does it start being a chaise? When does it, when does it cease to be a chair and start being just pieces of wood, et cetera, et cetera? You can go on for fucking ever. Um, and it's the same thing with this, like, what is a woman? Well, if you're coming to me as an adult with what is a woman, and you don't have like a concept in your mind of what that means when someone says woman, I assume you also don't have a concept in your mind for simple concepts like chairs. So, like, yeah, it's my favorite as a response. So, just in case anyone ever wants to. Sorry, I'm just, yeah. Goodness gracious. I am getting sleepy, but we are going to finish this because I started it, and I don't want to do it later.
Those debate bro fucking types will say that shit like, oh, what is a woman? And you'll give an explanation and they'll go, no, actually, a woman is simply an adult human female. But then it's like, okay, cool. Well, what's a female then? Oh, well, a female is someone who can give birth. Okay, well, what about women that can't give birth? Oh, well, that's only a small definition of women, though. What, just like trans women are also a small percentage of women? Yeah, but being trans is a choice. You can't choose to not be pregnant or whatever. What is gender dysphoria? Do you choose to have gender dysphoria? It's a pretty fucked up thing to go through. Why would you choose to do that? And then you go down that fucking line of thing and it's like this endless obfuscation of bullshit irrelevant points. Realistically, I just personally feel as though the majority of people who ask what is a woman in context like this on the internet, maybe not this interview in particular, but in debates especially,
No,
aren't
this interview.
actually trying to reason with you or have a productive conversation, if that makes sense.
That's a tough one because a lot of people have a very specific and narrow definition. But at the end of the day, for me, if you feel like a woman, then you are. There are no rules how your body needs to be configured. If you are a woman, you are a woman.
Have you ever been charged or convicted of a crime?
One time. I've never talked
That
about it.
transition, Jesus
I will
Christ.
talk around this because it's of keywords, but let's just say that about a decade ago, I had, how do I say this? Gardening supplies with me. And yeah, no criminal charges related to anything other than that, though.
Okay. You've never had a restraining order put against you? Has anyone in your personal life ever accused you of stalking or harassment? Have you ever had a Reddit account with the name Pomegranate in it?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of this is just sort of going over the same points that we
Yeah, the dancing around saying drug paraphernalia on TikTok, I think, is fun. Yet another reason that I don't censor myself. As long as the shit doesn't get pulled down, it's good enough for me. Uh, Man, no, this interviewer is just like like you're immediately gonna bounce for. Okay, awesome.
just watched in the recent response video. I'll try to skim through it and try finding like some actual hard-hitting stuff that we've not heard yet. That Reddit account with the pomegranate name, I'm sure will come up later because there was some like undeniably racist shit there that I feel as though Lilly needs to address, as well as the accidental N-word comment that I addressed in my last video that I feel as though she really needs to apologize for, because if she doesn't, then she's a huge hypocrite.
Have you ever knowingly taken money or received donations from a minor?
No, I will say that like on this app it is pretty difficult, right? Like knowingly is the key word, right? Someone could easily sub and be younger, right? But I would have no way of knowing that.
I saw something about a doctor incident when you were younger. Is this a real situation?
Yeah.
Was what I saw real?
Yeah, basically I had a Reddit account when I was younger. That was like, I guess the comments in question were around 2011, so I was about 18 years old. I was like just starting college. And basically what happened was I recounted a story from my past when I was 3, and there was another person who was 3. We were 3 years old, both of us. And we played doctor. And when I was 18, which was, again, 15 years later, I made a very off-color joke about that experience. I thought I was being like an edgelord at the time. Shocking humor was like what I thought was cutting edge and cool and funny.
Was this something that you have memories of, or did you get like found doing this during this situation?
Yeah, I did. I have very vague memories. I was 3, so it's like pretty fuzzy. But basically, like we played doctor once, and the school that we went to saw or found out. I really don't remember, and I was reprimanded. And that was it.
When I was 3, I'm a guy. My other 3-year-old friend, girl, and I would play doctor. I put my fingers up her bum and licked it too. I guess it started from an early age. My girl's face right now. I'll have to look to my right.
That's confirmed
Yeah.
Lilly Tino's account.
Yeah. Well, she admitted it.
I have seen a Discord screenshot where you admit to a situation around posting discriminatory remarks. Do you discriminate toward anyone based off their race? Basically, are you the R word?
Why? I love that she's asking that question as though Lilly Tino. There's a chance that Lilly Tino sits there and goes, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a fan of black people. Mexicans are like, yeah, they're okay. The Asians, they're cool. I get on with them. But God, those fucking
Bro, you would be surprised how many Americans will do just that. Will just to your face tell you just how racist they are. So like, no, it's not actually unfortunately not actually as unreasonable as one would think.
Arabic people, them especially, they can go fuck themselves. But all in all, I'd say I'm like a 4 out of 10 racist. Like, what do you expect Lilly Tino to say to that question? Imagine going on a podcast or an interview with anybody and them just asking you, are you racist, by the way? To be fair, that's like the fucking, when I went to America for the first time, there was like an ESTA, I don't know if, like, that's like a big known thing, but before you go into America, you need to make an ESTA or file an ESTA or whatever that gets approved. And the ESTA has some very silly questions. It has questions like, are you a terrorist? Are you going to destroy the entire country? Are you going to kill our residents? As though someone who is an actual terrorist, their plans are going to be foiled by that question, because as much as their plans are to enter the country and blow a bunch of shit up, them being asked on the ESTA, are you a terrorist, is the roadblock there, because they're forced to say no. I might kill people, but I'm not going to lie on an ESTA. I just love the idea of, like, someone actually committing heinous acts in America, going to court, and then being told by, like, the prosecutor, so, look, you killed 5 people. However, as you can see, on your ESTA, you said that you wouldn't kill anyone, and that's the real crime here. You know, the deaths are whatever, but the fact that you lied to America, God, that's more disappointing than anything else. Today's the 4th of July, by the way, America's birthday. Happy birthday, America.
So the thing about the forums and that's so that they can nail you with terrorism charges on top of whatever they're charging. Like it's helping them to secure evidence against you if ever you do anything that they don't like, because then they can say that you entered the country under false pretenses. It's a whole thing. They're in fact talking about doing that to like. I think it was Ron Mamdani who came here when he was, I believe, 9 years old. So filling out the form saying that he did not have terrorist intent, and now like people don't like his politics, and he might end up being mayor of New York, and so we gotta deport him based on his lying to the government about his terroristic intent at the age of 9. Yep, makes perfect sense. I believe it.
It won't be the 4th when I upload this, but either which way, have a good one, I guess.
I have no idea what screenshot you're talking about.
It was a Discord screenshot, and it looked like something you had posted in a Discord.
Can you read it, or
Do what?
can you read it? Because I really don't know what you're referring to.
It was just basically a confession about making some remarks. I don't really want to say the word of what it was, but you're not discriminatory.
I don't know what it was about. On the same Reddit account, like the one I was talking about, there was another comment where, again, I was like being, like, oh my gosh, like the edgelord kind of, the Elon humor kind of, when I was, 18 and angry and sad. There was some like really racist thing online that I saw, and I was like, oh, like I posted some comment that was like, wow, it's so funny. Well, come on, guys, it's a joke. Which was like dumb and stupid, and even at the time, not reflective of how I felt. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what it's referring to. But I've never.
I'm pretty sure that's the situation that I was specifically referring to.
Yeah, never like knowingly just discriminated against anyone as like beyond something stupid like that 15 years ago.
I mean, that's all well and good or whatever, edgy kid, fine. It was like so many years ago. Who knows how true it is or whatever. I've got no reason to believe that they're lying about not being horrendously racist, but I feel as though, I hope the N-word thing comes up in this video, because for those who don't know my stance on that, Lilly Tino said the N-word. It was very obviously an accident. I think it was very clear that they weren't intentionally saying the N-word. They were trying to say their dog's name, which was not, fuck it, I'll play the clip. Okay, I can't find the video. It got deleted off of Twitter. So, I mean, to be fair, maybe that's a good thing, because if I put it here, maybe it get this video deleted as well. It's in a previous video, but I'll describe it. She meant to say her dog's name, which is Nugget, and then said the N-word and went, ooh, and then moved on like nothing happened. Which I feel as though, look, yes, it was an accident, and you shouldn't have your career ended because you accidentally said a word that you clearly did not mean to say. However, your entire career was predicated upon people accidentally misgendering you and then apologizing, because in your opinion, people need to apologize when they accidentally are discriminatory. And you were absolutely discriminatory, even though I acknowledge that yes, it was an accident. If you don't apologize for accidentally saying the N-word, then you can never get angry at anybody else for accidentally misgendering you. You've just got no moral ground or high ground to stand on at all until you apologize for that. Okay, here's the racist Discord thing that they brought up.
Okay, we're going to time out on that for just a quick second. So I think that this is a matter of like harm, right? Do you genuinely think that her misspeaking when saying the dog's name was something that like someone heard and got offended by? I don't know, man. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess, just, yeah. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I think generally the idea that people are resistant to apologizing for things that they didn't intend to do is like bananas. If you bump into a stranger on the street, you apologize because it was an accident, right? Because you didn't mean to do it. You caused someone harm unintentionally. That's not what you meant to do. You're sorry about that. Like, so, if you're not sorry for something that you did unintentionally, then was it really unintentional? So like that, like at that point, it seems more Freudian slip than it does, actual accident, if that makes sense. But I don't know. That's just me reading too much into it, I think.
as well. The blackface comment was disgusting and inexcusable. At 18, I was in a very dark and sad place. I considered myself an edgelord and thought that offensive, dark, and edgy humor like this was funny. While I knew at the time that blackface was wrong, I thought it was funny to poke and prod with offensive jokes like this. Whoopsie. That was me, subvoid my horrible American accent, so we'll just read the rest normally. This is not who I am today, and I deeply regret saying it. As per the other post about an experience I had when I was 3, yes, it happened. I was playing a game of... And then it ends there, but I'm guessing they just sort of explain it. We don't need to see the rest of that message, so we'll move on to the rest of the interview, I guess.
Many have said that you intentionally seek to be misgendered for views, content, and free meals. You've said yourself that you don't have passing privilege, so to speak, and you have a deeper toned voice like myself. How can you or we expect to not get misgendered?
I mean, that's the whole goal, right? That's one of the big things that I advocate for. Is not, no one is I'm not asking anyone to read my mind. That's not on my slate of things to advocate for. I know that I don't pass. I know that I have a lower voice. I choose not to voice train. But when those videos of me getting misgendered go around, I know that I'm the one that puts them out. But it's difficult when I put those out to convey a greater context around it. That, like, I stream 4 times a week, if not more sometimes. In the past, I've done as much as 5 or 6 or 7 times a week. And I go to restaurants and I eat the food, hang out and chat. And the vast majority of those times, I do not get misgendered, right? Sometimes I do. And when I do, I put those videos on the internet to draw attention to what happened, which is, hey, everyone should work on using more gender-neutral language. That is one of the big asks of my content, and the thing I'm trying to educate about is we all should be using more gender-neutral language. So how can we expect not to get misgendered? The hope is that if we advocate enough, no one will have to worry about that, right? If we advocate enough, people like, and I don't know where you fall on this. I think that if I voice trained and maybe changed my body language a little bit and, did a couple other things, I could be in the realm of passing. Probably, maybe.
I just don't think that that's the goal of those videos. People have been begging Lilly Tino to stop doing those sorts of videos because the waiters and waitresses a lot of the time clearly aren't either educated on these issues, right? On these quite progressive issues because they may be from countries of which they've never even heard of such a thing. Maybe they work in restaurants where they were specifically trained to use words such as sir and madam, and then you publicly outing them like this is going to ruin or hurt their career. When in reality, maybe it's not even them that's truly at fault. There's just so many variables that are put into it that just make it all seem rage bait to me. It's the weird emotional manipulation that we get every time it happens as well with it's one thing to say, oh, you know what, it hurts when you misgender me or whatever, but Lilly Tino takes it a step further. She's like, you've knifed me in the heart and banished my entire family to eternal damnation, which, fine, I understand that it's...
So here's the thing about the Lilly Tino videos, where she is, she films herself eating, and she has been misgendered on these videos, and then brings it up to people, and then sometimes they will continue to misgender her, and it becomes a whole thing. As someone who generally does not pass, sometimes I do, but it is what it is. A lot of the time, I go out into the world and I get, it's assumed that I am a lesbian, which is pretty funny. Uh, but you know, for me, whether or not I correct someone who has misgendered me depends on how much, emotional energy I have to expend in the moment, and also whether or not I'm going to have to interact with this person again. Because if it's like a cashier or, some sort of passing interaction, I don't want to expend the emotional energy of correcting a stranger. Like, I just don't. I do not care that much. It is going to be more negatively impactful for me to, continue to think about the fact that I just got misgendered, and bring it up and discuss it, than it is going to be for me to just move the fuck on with my day. I do know, however, that there are people who are far more sensitive than I am, because a part of this as well is like, if you don't know me, I don't give a shit what you think about me in any regard. I value the opinions of people who earn it, essentially. So if you are a stranger, if you are some random person that has given me no reason to have an opinion of you, good, bad, or indifferent, and the only interaction we have is some normal interaction, and you call me ma'am or some shit, like I'm just gonna move on. That's not going to really hurt my feelings. Is it kind of a bummer? Yeah, but whereas if my kids misgendered me or some shit, like that would really be like, whoa, doggy. Which, to be fair, the children, well, the older two don't ever accidentally call me mom because they don't have mom, so there's not the accidental to slip up. Uh, yeah, but the baby on occasion will call me mom. But I think that's more. I also get called the name of the step parent on occasion. So, much in the same way that parents will accidentally say the name of the wrong kid. Uh, Same shit, different day. So, but yeah, like I don't know. I get that some people are really sensitive about it, and I get that you might want to draw attention to that. And the thing that's funny for me is when I watched this video initially and heard Jesse saying they a lot when referring to Lilly Tino, I was getting like about it. Because there's especially with trans women this thing that people like will not use she, her pronouns, even when those are the pronouns that the person wants, right? Um, because like they can't reconcile it in their head, and so they won't like go so far as to call that person a he him, but they'll stick in that they gray area. I mean, certainly it happens to trans masc people as well, but I've seen it a lot with trans women, and it bugs me. If but then I got a point in the video where she was advocating for people using more gender neutral language, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, clearly he saw that, right? Like, so we're good. I'm all about calling people what they want to be called. I think that in general, using gender neutral language is fantastic. There's a lot of ways to refer to people without it being gendered in pretty much every situation. Um, the work requirements notwithstanding. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's At any rate, let's continue.
It's difficult to describe what being misgendered feels like to somebody who has never been misgendered before, right? I will never know what it's like to be misgendered as a trans person. But the constant usage of it bothers me. I'm not sure if I can exactly verbalize it as well as I want to, but it's just bad vibes.
I know you're not the only person who has suggested that I'm overreacting, that my reaction is uncalled for. The reason I react like that is because, and I know this sounds silly, it's because that's who I am. I am a confrontational person. I complain about things, not just about getting misgendered. I love it. But also, when I see an injustice, I will stand up to it. All the time, every time. So when I get misgendered, that's just my natural reaction.
All the time, every time. Except when I say one of the most horrible words that exist in the English language and then refuse to acknowledge it ever. Just say most times, right? You can cover your ass a little bit and just say, like, most of the time I'll acknowledge it, or go against it, or whatever. But when you try to paint yourself out as this morally righteous arbiter of fucking strength and virtue, and then try your best to chuck away that skeleton in your closet, it's like, well, maybe just stop bullshitting. Like, well, let's just, rain down from cloud cuckoo land and realize that we're human and that we don't always stand up to everything that we find to be slightly morally objectionable. Maybe I'm being too fucking pedantic, who knows? Maybe I'm being a dick, but whatever, let's just keep watching.
Why do you think it was okay for you to make the assumption and speculate that Kurt Cobain was trans when he was unable to respond to the allegation? Did you not think that that was disrespectful for you to assume, but yet be so adamant how other people should assume your gender?
I fully stand by that video.
This is a real problem as well that I'm glad we're getting into. It's a good thing that we're talking about this and that she fully stands by it, by the way. Well, it's not a good thing. But for me it is, because I've been defending her way too much in this video. I'm going to alienate a lot of new viewers, maybe disappoint the ones who have already come to... Now, to be fair, if you're a consistent viewer, you know me by now. You probably knew this was coming. But like, yeah, this is some good old-fashioned Lily flaming right here that's about to happen, because that video...
Here's the thing. I vehemently disagree about this. And, I'm coming at this as a person who is an elder millennial. I remember when Kurt Cobain was alive, right? Um, so spend, I spend a fuck ton of time where he was born and raised, and I'm, in the, like, yeah. So, from that perspective, and also from the trend. So we're gonna go through. I'm gonna let them kind of lay out their pieces here. But like, this was the thing that I was like, I need to talk about this because this really this bothered me. Um, so let's get into it.
video was, oh boy, it was a bad video.
Kurt Cobain has been gone for 30 years. Kurt Cobain cannot hear us. No matter what we say about Kurt Cobain, Kurt Cobain's gone. He's gone.
But does that make it okay to speculate that they may or may not have been trans?
No, first of all, Kurt Cobain has family that are still alive and are very likely to have seen that video of you telling millions of people that they were probably trans. You know, Kurt Cobain's daughter is very real and very much alive and very much married to Tony Hawk's son, who they have a child with. What a fucking cool kid that's gonna be, by the way.
I would never speculate about an alive person being trans, because that can impact that person's life if they don't want to come out, they're not ready to come out, or if they're not trans in the first place. It's the same reason that we look back on any historical figure. For example, Abraham Lincoln, who, when you look at the evidence, shared beds with men. I mean, there's a whole documentary you watch about it, and I did a video about it.
Documentaries can be wrong, right? Documentaries are made by people, and people are wrong all of the time. There are so many documentaries about Abe Lincoln that have no mention of him possibly being gay. Now, obviously, we don't know for sure if he was or wasn't. I will say, sleeping in the same bed as another man during those times in American history was a lot more normal, right? A lot of spaces that they went to didn't have as much room. And I also don't think sleeping with men had the same sort of stigma around it that it does today that sort of links you to being homosexual. I don't think it was as much of a thing back then.
We will never for sure know if Abraham Lincoln was gay, just like we'll never know that Kurt Cobain was trans. But it doesn't hurt to speculate. Who's it hurting? Certainly not Abraham Lincoln. Certainly not Kurt Cobain.
Not out of respect for his family.
What do you mean out of respect?
To speculate about their family member potentially being trans or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, with Abe Lincoln, it's a little more justifiable, I guess, because we're so far removed from him now. Like, the amount of people who knew him personally are very, very non-existent. I'm not saying that completely justifies it, but it is more justifiable in pretty much every sense of the word. Whereas Kurt Cobain, once again, there's very much family that still exists. There's still many fans of him that are, like, listening to the music or whatever that don't appreciate you speculating about him in that way. I'm not saying those fans are, like, particularly important in terms of, like, being able to dictate or tell you what you're allowed to do when it comes to talking about their hero. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there are a lot of people whose feelings are going to be hurt by it. And I don't think it's a dick.
Here's the thing, friend. When we were talking specifically about Kurt Cobain and speculation and things that might affect Lil Ms. Frances Bean, that is, I don't know if this is still what Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love's daughter, I don't know if she still goes by Frances Bean, but that was the name she, there are multiple documentaries about the conspiracy theory that Courtney Love had Kurt Cobain murdered. And no one, like, I have never not once heard a single person in reference to those things be like, well, what do you think about suggesting to their daughter that their mother might be a murderer? Right? Like, we can speculate about whether or not he committed suicide. We can speculate about whether or not his wife had him killed. All of that is totally fine to speculate about and not at all going to negatively impact the kid. Because I never hear anyone bitch about that, but this is a thing that I hear people complain about, and so, like, hey, Jesse, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard people, if you have heard anything about Kurt Cobain, talk about this conspiracy theory, right? Like, and that's chill, and that's something that, like, you don't think that might affect their daughter more than whether or not he was trans? But, let's go on.
Move or a bad thing necessarily to consider the feelings of the people that might be watching your video before you release it, which I'm sure Lilly does. Like, it's part of the game when it comes to rage bait and stuff. In fact, rage bait is literally considering those feelings to an extent higher than most people. It's just that you want those feelings to be negative. We wouldn't sit here and speculate about Kobe Bryant, for example, being gay. Like, that would be quite distasteful, or transgender. We wouldn't do that, would we? If I made a TikTok or a YouTube video being like, guys, Kobe Bryant, I think personally was actually gay, I'd get shit for it, like, and justifiably so, because it's not appropriate.
I think that's disrespectful to the family.
Well, to suggest that an implication that a deceased family member of yours might have been a certain way, specifically.
But if it could affect their image of how people look at them, per se,
yeah, that
could be damaging to somebody's image. If it's your family, that
you say damaging. What about being trans is damaging?
That's a really, really sneaky, but also very disingenuous and bad argument from Lilly there. There's nothing necessary.
No, it is absolutely not sneaky, and it is absolutely not disingenuous from a trans person looking you dead in the eye. This is not rage bait. This is me coming to you as a person who enjoys your content and thinks that you can take criticism well. It is not disingenuous, because the suggestion that if he might be trans is going to make people think negatively about him and somehow discount the music and the art that he put into the world, fuck them. They don't deserve it then. Because if that's all it takes to change your image of someone, right? Like Lily is about to bring up left-handedness, I think, or I don't know. It's if we want to speculate about whether or not historical figures were left-handed, right? And to get back, this is obviously something that, like, the looking back at historical figures to try to decipher whether or not they were queer is something that has to be done, because throughout history, our history as queer people and trans people has been erased, has been whitewashed. The Abe Lincoln thing, it's not just that he shared beds with men, is that he shared a bed with the same man over and over and over and over again and wrote him love letters and spent more time with that man than his wife. Like, there's more to it than what obviously you're aware of. And there's a lot of historical figures that, there are speculations made now based on historical records about gender, whatever, whatever. The video that Lilly Tino made referring to Kurt Cobain had reasons in it that she thought that he might be trans. She didn't pull that shit out of her ass. Kurt Cobain was very, like, it is common knowledge that he wore dresses on multiple occasions. He spoke about feeling comfortable wearing dresses. He spoke about gender and, like, this is a topic that he broached and very definitely had some kind of feelings about. And we're talking about someone who, this was the early 90s, like, and he had a wife and a child. Like, it's hard for people with a wife and a child to come out now, right? Like, so it is not disingenuous at all what she is saying. It is not rage bait. Like, we can talk about some of the other shit that Lilly Tino has done and whether or not that shit is rage bait. This is not. It's just not. And, like, if you hear nothing else, and I'm probably going to clip this part because it's not rage bait. Like, it's true. We'll get back to
necessarily damaging about being trans. And I see what you're trying to do by implying that everybody who has a problem with what you did to Kurt Cobain and his name is inherently a transphobe, right? But it's not the fact that you're levying that they might be trans that's the problem. It's the fact that you're levying something that they very well probably were not. It's not the fact that they're trans, but it's the fact that they weren't trans, if that makes sense. There's nothing.
how do you know, right? How do you know any more than she does? I mean, go Google Kurt Cobain in a dress right now and see how many different pictures you will find. I get that it was the 90s and what, but, like, there weren't other grunge dudes wearing dresses. No one. And this was, very much a time of, like, the masculine and, like, yeah, they all had long hair, but it was so they could fucking headbang. Like, it was like a bleed over from the metal shit. Like, I think that you're you're bumping up against this because you do in fact have some transphobia happening, man. Like, I don't think that it is something that is up front in your brain, but, like, you very clearly think that there is something off, or like the fact that you think that this could negatively impact someone's perception of Kurt Cobain. Like, why would it be a problem? Where is the problem? If Kurt Cobain was trans, where is the problem? Because if you're going to tell me that it is besmirching his name and we have to be concerned about the feelings of his family and blah, 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 what are we concerned about? What part of the reputation is being soured here? Because if it's not that there's something wrong with being trans, then what's the issue? Genuinely, what's the issue if that isn't it? Because you have no more evidence that Kurt Cobain was not trans than she has that he was. And I mean, quite frankly, we've got more in the category that he was than he wasn't, because the only, when we're in this speculation land and we're talking about periods of time which include up until today, that lots of people are clipped out of fear, including people who are very, think about Caitlyn Jenner, man. Caitlyn Jenner was very much famous in the 90s and very like, and if you know anything about Caitlyn Jenner's story, she started to transition at one point and then backed off. She was taking hormones decades before she came out and was still living as a dude. So, yeah, no. The suggestion that this is completely out of left field, no, bro, no. Just as someone who thinks that you are coming at this genuinely, I think that you are just missing the fucking mark, man. I think you are not seeing what it is that you're actually struggling with this idea. It bums me out. So, like, reconsider. At any rate, let me continue.
Damaging about being trans, but there is something damaging about being labeled as something that you were not.
Personal, like, even if it wasn't you speculating about them being trans, but like,
What if I was speculating that Abraham Lincoln was a lefty and like used his left hand? Is that okay?
I don't know. I just feel like, and I don't want to say how I feel. Like, okay, I'm trying to keep how I feel out of it.
You can say I don't mind.
I want to keep my feelings out of it. Okay, let's continue to move on.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that left-handed argument. I feel like there's a line that's been crossed in between speculating upon whatever hand someone prefers as opposed to speculating on their sexuality or gender identity. I'm not sure exactly where that line is, but in between those two things, there is a line for sure.
That your content or
Why is there a line? That's what I want to know. Why is there a line? Where's the line? Where's the damage to the, explain it. Break it down. Because if you can't articulate it outside of it's just because you think it's bad to be trans, there isn't another, like if it's just, I don't quite know, I can't quite put my finger on it, it's because it squicks you out. It's because you were raised in a society that is steeped in transphobia and homophobia. The UK, bro. Like, that's why we refer to England as Turf Island. Like Scotland is, I'm sure not a huge lot better, man. So I don't, I I believe you grew up in Scotland, right? The accent suggests to me, but I don't know where you were born. I don't, fuck if I know, bro.
any specific piece of content might have caused more harm than good.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, countless trans creators have spoken out against you in the way in which you choose to create your content. Is this not concerning to you?
Some of those trans creators like to misgender me. I think a big narrative that has been really front and center lately, and I think it's hard to talk about this without bringing this up, is that there is a conspiracy theory amongst trans creators specifically that I am not actually trans.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Well, I think it's important to get into in context of this question. So when I see a trans creator calling me Nick or calling me him, no, it stinks to see it, but like, how can I take that person seriously?
I don't know. I just feel like there's like such a sheer volume of people. Like recently, as we've gotten closer into this, I've done a lot of like watching, and scrolling. Seems like there's such like a huge variety. It's not even just those ones that are like singling you out or only basing their platforms off of you. There's so many like offshoot trans creators, little creators. Like it seems like there's a fairly large amount of them.
I'd say a lot of those little creators, I'm not saying all of them, obviously, but a lot of those little creators are probably just trying to piggyback off of Lilly Tino's name because making videos on her gets a lot of views. Now, I will say, you can definitely want to get views, but also want to say something genuine about the conversation and be a part of it as well. I mean, that is kind of what I'm doing right now, right? I'm making a video, and if I knew this video on Lilly Tino would get 5k views, I wouldn't do it. But that doesn't mean that I don't care about the things that I'm talking about either.
That aren't specifically like...
Just to put a pin in that and the seriousness of the shit that I was saying a couple minutes ago about the speculating about Kurt Cobain's situation, and that is the thing that got me to go, no, I have to make a video about this. I get like sometimes 15 views on a video. If I break into the triple digits, it's, my God, if I break 1,000, it's a fucking miracle, right? I am not monetized, nowhere near monetized, have no intention. This is purely just because, love of the game. I like to yap. I like to listen to my own yapping back. I watch my own videos. It helps me to process my thoughts and feelings about things. So like, I am doing this in the hopes that I can get you to understand where I'm coming from and to change your perspective in a way that is open and to your audience. Because I think that you're like so close to being, an advocate. Um, don't mind the thumbnail with the weasel. I just thought the picture of you holding the ferret was incredibly cute, and it would be fun to make a silly weasel joke um, in the thumbnail. But I'll continue on with this. Yeah, but as far as trans creators not liking what Lilly Tino is doing, uh, there are plenty of people who don't like the style of content that I do. There are plenty of trans creators out there that I think make complete trash fire garbage that also would not agree with what being trans in and of itself is not like you know a belief system or whatever. Like trans people are not who fucking cares, right? Like it's that they're strangers. The I don't know, man. Like it's the same thing as all of the other things that I argue about. You cannot expect that a group of people is a monolith that you can take the opinions of one person and expand that to everyone else, or the behaviors, or and the fact that we want to try to do that, well, like that's when we get into all of the isms. We have to realize that everyone is an individual. You have to judge each and every individual person on an individual basis to the best of your ability. And it's one thing if you are hearing from a group of people outside of your own group that something is offensive, and it's like, okay, then you're going to want to look into that, right? Like you're going to want to do some digging, going to want to weigh it. I definitely, if I'm offending other groups, I want to know, because I will self-correct. But then also, like, I have been called many things that are not true by people who are disingenuous and weaponizing and rage baiting and yada yada yada. You take the shit with a grain of salt and you move on, man. I don't know.
A Lilly Tino T page or whatever,
I mean, what you're asking is,
does that concern you? Does that give you any second thoughts about maybe the way you're approaching the way you deliver some of your content, so to speak?
I mean, look, as a content creator, I'm sure you can understand that the thing that makes us successful as content creators, and really the thing that makes someone built to be a content creator in the first place.
I will say though, I don't think it is good for those transgender creators to misgender Lilly Tino and then claim to be an advocate for the cause and that she isn't. I don't think that is any reason to misgender Lilly Tino. Like, just because there's someone who you don't like, that doesn't make them not transgender. It's like calling a black person not black anymore because they're an arsehole or they did something bad that you disagree with. Just because a transgender person, in your opinion, is racist, it doesn't make them any less transgender. It just makes them a racist transgender. Those two things can coexist, right? Transgender people can be fucking arseholes as well. Like misgendering Lilly Tino, saying that she's not trans, puts a lot of pressure on people who transition, because you're basically saying to those people, if you don't perform in the way that I want you to exactly, I don't consider you part of the transgender community. You need to be at a certain level of likability to actually be considered trans. And if you fuck up or do anything that we disagree with, then your trans identity is going to be stripped away from you. I don't think it's a good message to...
I think it's also some internalized transphobia in that trans people feel, it's projection being judged and projection of people not accepting you for how you want to be accepted because they don't like your behavior, but you think your behavior is correct as opposed to their behavior being incorrect. And it is...
just end. Like, there's just no reason in my mind to misgender this lady. Especially if you're somebody who supposedly is supposed to stand up for trans rights. Like, if you're someone who is firmly against all the transgender stuff, then people might see you as a dickhead, including me most likely, but, like, it's not as though I'm expecting anything more from you.
Okay, so how do you justify...
It's right up there. It's not the same, because he said suggesting that a black person isn't black. The way that, as a trans person, when I see someone intentionally misgendering me or another trans person, it's a measure of transphobia, right? It's a measure of, you know, thinking like you don't respect someone's identity enough to not, go to that level of offense. It's like if you get into a fight with a black dude and start dropping N-bombs because like you want to go, as offensive as you can to try to hurt them or whatever, but it's like it just kind of shows where your brain is, like if that's where your brain goes, if that is a thing that you think is acceptable for anyone at any point, regardless of what they've done, that reflects more on you than anyone else. So yeah, I think that trans people misgendering her is just, and that, like, I get that there have been people who have come out online and been like, yes, I was faking it, like, but legitimately, like, you're not going to get surgery on your face to fake it. Like, come on. It's ridiculous.
By creating such a scripted content regarding gender reassignment inside a children's themed park.
Disney World for everyone.
Or it's themed towards children.
Nope. There's things for children. There's plenty of things for adults too.
Yeah, it's for everyone, but it was they're not going to not allow you entry if you're over the age of 18. But it is for children, in the same way Disney movies yeah, they're for everyone, but they're for children. You know what I mean? Again, it's just really fucking disingenuous here.
Plenty of rides. You need to be a certain height. Children can't ride a lot of rides at Disney World. They sell alcohol there. They have events that are just for adults.
They do have events that are just for adults. I think people would have a lot less of a problem if you were making those videos at those events for just adults, but you don't. Why would you bring up the adult events when you don't go to any of them for these videos that people are angry about? Like, we're not talking about the adult events at Disney. We're talking about the regular days where children are fucking everywhere.
Those pieces of content.
I've never seen anything that she has done in Disney as far as like the corn dog videos or any of the other, like her sitting at a table in Disney using food to talk about gender confirmation surgeries. I've never seen there be anyone in the background. I've never like heard people like she's obviously picking times and going, to places that aren't crowded, that don't have a lot of people. I would guess, that she probably goes pretty frequently, might have season pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're showing up to a theme park in the middle of a weekday or something, like even Disney, at certain times of year, especially, you can find empty space. Like I've been to Disney World in October. Like there's places that you absolutely could find a quiet spot to film a video with no kids around, like so to suggest that like she's trying, is she rage baiting a little? I mean, yeah, maybe, she should probably admit that, but like I don't think she's actually doing anything wrong. As far as I am aware, I mean, certainly, if someone shows me a video of her with a bunch of kids within earshot, I may change my tune. But like, oh man, she's right. They have booze and rides that kids can't ride, and like shit that is for adults happening all day, every day at Disney, not just the adults only events. Like they have adults who are doing the tour of Epcot who drink at every country. And you will get like alcohol poisoning levels drunk, like, and that's perfectly acceptable to do with children around all the time. But because this is trans shit, the fact that there are children anywhere in the vicinity at all for any reason makes it instantly horrible and wrong and exploitative of those children and blah blah blah. There were no children involved in any of it. Like, like I said, if there is a video that I've missed, but I've not seen any of these videos have kids, that you can't hear kids in the background. Like, I don't know, man. It just seems to me like it's, people do adult shit in shared spaces with kids all the time. I don't know what to tell you.
Regardless, I guess if you think it's geared towards children or not, you don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I mean, Disney World is not just for kids. Like, I mean, you could say that I filmed the video. Like, listen, how about this? I
don't know if you think anything's wrong with that. Yes, you don't think anything's wrong with that.
Of course not. Why would anything be wrong with it? There are no kids in the video. Kids weren't listening.
What does it accomplish doing it there, and why not make that sort of content in a more private setting or setting that a lot of people perceive to be a children's themed park?
It's a fucking excellent question. I already know the answer, I think, but let's see what she has to say.
Why not do it somewhere else, basically? Why there, of all places?
Because I love Disney World. And there's a lot of fun, interesting visual things that I can...
Shit. She's chatting out of her ass. Shouldn't mention us, actually. She'll try to stick her finger up it. You make videos at Disney because it gets people angry. Like, there is no reason why you couldn't make... There's a lot of variety and food ingredients and stuff to buy and look at and use as metaphors in fucking Walmart. Go to Walmart, buy them, bring them to your gaff, and make your videos. Educational videos, because a lot of the information there is genuinely rather interesting. I've watched a couple of Lilly Tino videos, on this channel, in fact, and come away with the conclusion of, you know what, that's actually pretty fucking interesting. But why have you done it in Disney World, of all places? Because you know that's what gets people angry. That's what gets the views. That's what gets all the engagement. Even if it's negative, that's what you want, man. There's no reason why you can't just do this at home. There's more variety. There's more control over what you can talk about and what metaphors you can use in your fucking local shopping center. So just do that, plonker.
Have you ever visited any Disney park prior to transitioning and becoming a content creator?
Yeah. I grew up in Florida. Busch Gardens, Disney, Universal, Islands of Adventure. Love it all. The Men in Black ride when I was in middle school over and over and over again. It was like a part-time job riding that ride.
You grew up in Florida. That explains a lot, actually. I feel like Lilly Tino is average Florida resident. I'm heading to Florida in November. I'm fucking dead excited for it, actually. I was there last year. It was amazing. I loved it there. People said I'd fucking hate it. People said that customs would be horrible to me, but they were so nice. Americans are lovely. I love you. Not you personally. You might be an arsehole, but as a collective, I think he's a pretty cool. I'm gonna fucking
I mean, I think I'm
especially
pretty
with what's
cool.
going on now. They might not appreciate
I
my
wouldn't
kind
come
as
to
much
America
at the minute, but we'll
if
see
I
and
were
hope for
you.
the best
I
for
don't
us.
want to
So,
be here.
Going deeper into
I
that,
live
recently the
here.
Florida Attorney General has said that they are investigating the issue regarding your content in and around women's restrooms on your recent trip to Disney World. Do you not think this type of attention is harmful towards our community?
It's a bit of a skewed way to ask that question, right? I guess the real... If you take the Florida Attorney General out of it, maybe we should talk about those pictures to begin with. Those pictures I took because it's important to normalize trans women in women's bathrooms. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but the argument is that I guess the place you decided to do this is really what all this revolves around. You're adamant that Disney World or Disneyland isn't a children's themed place, but most people, the majority of people that visit or the reason they go is
Getting told off by Woody there. Woody from Toy Story telling her that she shouldn't film fucking women in the women's bath. I hate that filter, that TikTok. Is it like when you get a donation, the cowboy hat just comes up? It's very strange. People will be having like really serious conversations on that, and then there'll be like a big squeaky toy or a dolphin or some fucking Nigerian goat that eats a grass. One singular grass.
One singular grass.
but the majority of who's attending these parks and what their trips are around going there is children.
False. I mean,
So you don't think that that video and the bathroom selfies and including other people created negative attention towards our community?
there's negative attention towards our community whether or not I'm making content on Disney. People are going to find anything they can to attack us with.
That's such a shit argument. Like, I've used this one before, but if I go outside and punch a man in the face, I can't use the defense of, look, people are dying. People are getting punched in the face all over the world right now. Are you really going to punish me for just adding on to an ethereal problem that can never truly be solved? Maybe you could be a step in the right direction and not add to the ongoing violence going on right now. You know, maybe Lilly Tino could do a step in the right direction as one of the biggest trans creators on the platform and, you know, make a change for good. Try to show the good side of the community as opposed to the rage-baity side that gets people fired from their jobs and fucking ruins people's days and acts really inappropriately around children and says the N-word unapologetically.
There are ways to go about it rather than like doing all of this and like Disney World is the whole thing. Like as a parent myself, I just can't wrap my head around how you could think that location specifically would be the place of places to go make these videos about gender reassignment and take a bunch of bathroom selfies. You have people in the back that didn't consent and they came out and said they felt uncomfortable. And then you've responded with like a video somewhat mocking this person. Like all of this you feel is okay to do?
I think
Don't
you're
take
looking
pictures in the
any wrong, Lily?
bathroom.
You don't see any wrong in any of this? Like,
Why would I? You tell me.
okay, I'm not let's keep. How do you feel about
Yo, answer the fucking question, lady. What the hell? Like, Lily's asked you what's wrong with it, and you just fumbled completely. The issue is, you have broken the law, you have broken the rules of Disney, and you put people's faces on blast in front of millions of people who did not want to be put into the public eye in the way that you put them into the public eye, because it was in the fucking toilet where you can't really record people. It's quite an intimate place, that place. You just sort of moaned and groaned and grumbled and stumbled and then moved on to the next question. Lily definitely thought she won that altercation, and you know what? The interviewer didn't do a great job, so she kind of fucking did.
how does Lily feel about this being like a thing?
It is already a crime to be trans in Florida, more or less. And it is becoming that more and more every single day. Being trans puts a target on your head in Florida. Whether or not you are a content creator making a point in Disney, it is unsafe. Trans people...
So if you were making a point in Disney, you knew the significance that the location would have on the content you were creating. You know how it was going to be perceived going into it. Like people make content at Disneyland and Disney World, but they're eating the corn dogs. They're not talking about turning them inside out and using cake pops to describe bodily parts.
I think
Like, do you ever feel that there's a line you shouldn't cross, or you're willing to cross any line to get that attention, the views, that to get your word out?
two things. Number one, I recently posted a video about sports, and we don't need to talk about it other than for me to say, when I was filming that, specifically the shots on the track and field, there were children around. They were around. Children are everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. They're at the park. They're everywhere except my apartment, right? I can't go walk down the street for 5 minutes without seeing someone who's a kid, right? We exist in public as trans human beings.
Yeah, but if you did these videos at the fucking playground or nursery, there'd be a problem there, because those places, there's a reasonable expectation that there is a primary base of children there. Remember Michael Duval, a couple videos back, who did, like, pornography or sex work or OnlyFans in the fucking daycare? The problem there wasn't that he was doing OnlyFans, the problem was that he was doing it in a fucking daycare. If he was doing it at Disneyland, that would also be a problem. But if he was doing it in an apartment, it would be totally fine. Apartment. It's going against every bone in my body not to say flat. But it's the same way that if Lilly Tino was doing it in a flat apartment, whatever the fuck you want to call it would be totally fine. Just do it there.
Okay? I love food. I love silly, funny content. I grew up watching a show called Good Eats, where
Are you calling the content you made at Disneyland silly, fun content?
yeah, I'm cutting a corn dog. That's silly.
The descriptions you're using it as.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that's okay.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people don't think being
Huge
trans.
amounts of people, like, and it makes them feel negative towards other people that are trans,
Okay.
regardless of they agree with it or not.
Do you truly
You cannot, as a trans person, have your behavior be dictated by what other people will think of you and other trans people, and like, obviously, like, to some degree, as a human, you give a shit about how you're perceived, but you cannot make decisions about things that you want to do with your life based on what disingenuous people who probably weren't gonna fucking like you anyway will pick apart. Like, this idea that, we should toe the line and we should be one of the good ones or whatever, like, it's no. I'm gonna live out loud. And, she's absolutely right. You can't fucking go anywhere without kids. It's like, yeah, if you go to the playground and you're on the jungle gym, that would be a problem. There would be children right around. But if, she's making a video at the park on the track and there are children there, I mean, as long as she's not talking about explicit things with them in earshot, I don't see the difference between that and Disney with children nowhere around. It is a gigantic park. It literally, it is just a park. So if she can go to a that is like a public park with, a track and field and whatever that also is inevitably going to have children, if she can go to a Walmart and make a video, right? Like, why does everything she has to do be relegated to, because you can find so many videos of, like, couples content of people doing, like, weird maneuvers in Walmart where it's like people picking up women and, like, doing, really suggestive dance moves and shit. There's just so much shit that is so questionable that fucking cis het people do in front of kids all the fucking time, and it's not a problem. Like, existing, for example, teaching, kissing a partner, just normal shit. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like if this were some, mom who was like a Disney mom with her Stanley Cup, cisgender lady making videos in Disney with cake pops about her breast implants and like explaining, breast augmentation, and it didn't have anything to do with a trans woman, I do not think anyone would fucking blink about those videos happening in Disney. Even if we had, that same woman talking about labial reconstruction, that like vaginal rejuvenation surgery or whatever, right? I genuinely, like, do you think that it would be this big of an issue? Because I don't. I think that if there were a man trying to do this shit, it might be. And then we get into and even then, I don't necessarily think there would be. I think that there's a higher chance that people would be like, because, men are immediately assumed to be the villain, which,
truly believe that without my content, people would feel no negative feelings towards trans people?
I feel like there would be less.
You think that I am responsible for a lot of negative feeling towards trans people?
I think you have a significant reach. Most of your videos is 40 million, nearly 40 million views.
Not even close to 40 million. Like,
It's 39 million I checked today.
where am I getting 40 million views? I'm not getting paid for 40 million views. Maybe 4.
Good to keep going into that. What's the most amount of money you've ever earned off a single video?
Why have we moved on from an actual genuine conversation about the harm that Lilly Tino might be causing to the transgender community onto how much money do you have? You know, just a little bit of that guala, that green, that money, brilliant cash. Sorry, I ran out of words there. I got really uncreative. Just a strange, unnecessary To be fair, I don't know if this woman interviews people for a living. I don't know if this is her first time doing it. I hope so. I hope this is not her job and career, because if so, then with all due respect, you need to find a fucking different one. But Lilly Tino's question there, where it's like, do you believe that my content has changed a lot of people's minds about transgender people? I think that it is very possible that a lot of people who may be on the fence about transgender rights, or I guess the moral efficacy of transgender people and where they belong and the type of content they're allowed to produce, may have watched a video of Lilly Tino's that may very well have 40 million views, by the way. Like, if we take across views across...
Here's the thing. If you are someone who is on the fence about the existence of trans people, you're not going to be looking for TikToks of first of all, I think that being on the fence about the existence of trans people is kind of bonkers. But like, I don't think that you come upon this content unless you are interested in the information that is provided, or you're already pissed off about the existence of trans people. Or you're a trans person who's going, Jesus fucking Christ, what are you doing? Because I have made videos about other trans creators making some content that I was like, holy shit, what the fuck are you doing? But I do not count Lilly Tino in that, like, she's not out there making trans people look like there's actually something wrong with us and we need to be behaving differently because we are trans. She's trying to normalize just existing. You know, whereas you have your buck angels and your offensive T-slurs who go out of their way to talk about how, unreasonable we all are for wanting to be accepted because they want to be one of the good ones. And it's like, bro, it's like that fucking poem says, they'll come for you eventually. Like, and then they came for me. Like, we are just the end of the line as far as the civil rights, like yeah, the Nazis burned the trans research right along with the Jewish books, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, there was a whole sex and gender clinic in Berlin, I think, a huge German, like, there was tons of fucking transgender science that was just completely destroyed and set us back a long ass time. So, like, no, man, there's if not for her, they would find someone else who was doing some stupid shit. Like, it is what it is, man. Like, you can't, no matter what you do, you're going to be criticized for it. If you're not the one being criticized, someone else is. She's not out telling other trans people how to trans. Are the restaurant misgendering videos cringe? Yes. But, like, we're all entitled to be cringe. Ain't nothing wrong morally with being cringe. It's cringe, but that's not like a moral failing.
All platforms or reposts on Twitter, 40 million is not an unrealistic number. Maybe just not on her account, like, specifically, but outside of her account, I have no trouble believing that a video of hers has reached 40 million views. I think that there are definitely some people who may have been on the fence that definitely get swayed a certain way, at least to an extent, by Lilly Tino's content. People might think this is, the most popular transgender creator, this is who they've opted to choose to represent themselves. Obviously, it's a very ignorant and, boneheaded way of thinking, but it's a way of thinking that a lot of people have, unfortunately.
So you do not do and make this
I can't live my life based on people with unreasonable thought processes, right? Because there are just as many people who think that my very existence is wrong, and there would be absolutely nothing that I could do or say that would make them reconsider. So, like, the fact that there are people who are on the fence, I have to fucking live my life to make other people more comfortable? Fuck that shit. Why? Why? To what end? No. Fuck that shit. Absolutely not. No. 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 Nothing that she has done has endangered anyone. Does it make people feel squeaky? Too fucking bad. Get the fuck over it. There's nothing she's doing that is endangering children at all. It just makes people feel like it's kind of gross. And oh, it might give people the wrong idea. No, we need to be going like, hi, hey, if other people were doing these same things, no one would give a shit. Like,
content in this, what you know is controversial. You said yourself going into Disneyland, you knew the reaction you were going to get. If you're not doing this for views and money, why take your content so far and be so controversial about it?
The point is not to be controversial. The point is to engage and educate. If you sit down and aim a camera at your face and say, bottom surgery is a process by which a surgeon takes a blah, 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 and does a blah, 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 and flips a blah, 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 no one's going to care. No one cares. But if you take an otherwise boring topic, whatever it is, and this is why I was talking about the shows that inspired me as a kid. Good Eats is one of them. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Iron Chef, Mythbusters.
It's not true, necessarily. If you know what you're talking about and you're very educated on the topic and you have some charisma and you know how to talk in front of a camera, you can deliver information about something that you are passionate or knowledgeable about and people will listen. There's so many channels that do it. There's so many documentaries that are based upon stuff like that. I understand that making it entertaining is important to a lot of people and that makes total sense, right? I want these videos to be entertaining as well. And if I ever transition into like informative style content, like proper documentary style content, I would also want them to be informative as well as entertaining. But again, the way to make your videos entertaining does not, like, is it impossible to make a good video anywhere but Disneyland? Is that really the fucking issue here? I just need to do it in Disneyland and I happen to do it there because I love it there so much. It's like, fuck, you can do the same thing at home. You can.
But they take relatively uninteresting textbook concepts and they bring them into their content with props, with lights, with music, with all these different things to make it fun and exciting. And that's how they teach you, right? No one cares about a textbook. It's boring.
Yeah, it's a more fragile environment that we live in, especially in this political environment that we have and all these things that trans people are dealing with, to purposely go into Disneyland and make and talk about such descriptive and inappropriate things at some points.
What's inappropriate about it?
It's just not an appropriate thing to do at Disney World. I don't understand how you think that is okay. And going into more of this, some would argue that your content is being aimed and directed at children. Between the impersonation of children's characters and the content in the Disney parks, you've even gone as far as creating other content, as you would like to put it, while portraying children's characters. How do you justify this, and how could you think that this type of behavior is acceptable?
This interviewer really is not doing a great job at hammering Lilly in the way that she needs to be held accountable. She just sort of says, this is wrong, and Lilly asks why, which is a perfectly reasonable question. And then in response, she gets a, we're moving on to the next question, because I guess she just can't think on her feet quickly enough, or doesn't know what to say exactly. It's like, no wonder Lilly thinks she's doing nothing wrong, because no one can fucking explain to her properly what she's doing wrong.
And going into more of this, some would argue that your content is being aimed and directed at children. Between the impersonation of children's characters and the content in the Disney parks, you've even gone as far as creating other content, as you would like to put it, while portraying children's characters. How do you justify this, and how could you think that this type of behavior is acceptable?
Like Velma?
Several children's, or not several, I know two. That one and
Lola Bunny?
Miss Rachel.
Oh, I know.
Two different, I'm not saying you did both in the other content, but you've used children's characters.
I've never brought Miss Rachel into other content.
Yeah, she hasn't. Like, that is just, I know that for a fact. Miss Rachel was never brought into the OnlyFans videos. That'd be insane if that actually did happen, by the way. But obviously, fucking didn't. Like, that's just a false accusation. This lady clearly hasn't done her research. What did she say she did? She did Velma and Lola Bunny, whose name we don't speak of on this channel. Me and Lola Bunny, we have a speckled history, to say the least. If you know, you know.
You have a video where you're like,
I do.
There's no, Velma has been a character for like 60 years.
Yeah, you have a video where you're dressed up as Miss Rachel. Yeah, but that was not in the OnlyFans. That has nothing to do with the other content that you described. How can you accuse someone, like, predatorily or aggressively of them making sexual content of children's characters like Velma as a way of, like, trying to lure children in? Velma, there's been, like, sexy Velma cosplay for decades now. There's, like, costumes and people just make dumb shit sexy sometimes. To go against someone or, like, accuse someone of being a predator for using Velma in, like, a erotic way is horrendously unfair, in my opinion.
So you don't understand why.
I think if you took that same attitude and applied that to, you know, if anyone else were doing this, it wouldn't be a big deal to most of the shit that she does. Like, you know, again, don't take pictures in the bathroom. Please don't. But, you know,
why people are upset about that. You don't understand how that makes people upset?
Oh, I understand. I'm not stupid. I mean, I get it. But also, like, the alternative, like, yes, I could say, you know what? My content is too provocative. Let me just dial it down a little bit. My content immediately becomes boring. And the message you send out.
You think you only have something if you're controversial? I don't think that's true.
That is essentially what Lilly Tino's admitted there, right? Oh, I'm going to dial it back a bit and then I become boring. Okay, so what you've admitted there is unless you're intentionally trying to make people angry, there is no value to your content, which to an extent is kind of true. Like, you're not exactly the most witty or charismatic individual. You're just very rage-baity. You're very good at making people angry and using a community that's been disparaged and discriminated against for decades now as a means of doing such a thing. And you don't want to dial it back or tone it down or be less offensive or rage-baity because you know that you won't get as many views if you do such a thing. You basically admitted in a roundabout way, in your own little way there, that you're doing this for rage bait, for controversy, for attention, not because you genuinely care about the cause.
I mean, if thought-provoking art is crossing a line, then we just have a disagreement on what art is. If you are upset that a piece of art
Art is not going to Disneyland cutting up a corn dog. That is not art. That's diabolical.
what are you talking about? Why not?
Have you ever communicated with a minor in an inappropriate way?
No.
Again, these transitions are insane, but like, yeah, I would personally not consider art to be going to Disneyland and cutting up a corn dog and pretending that it's a pussy or a cock. I don't think that's art, unless you play very fast and loose with the definition, but in that case, pretty much anything can be considered art in your fucking eyes. I do think intuitively, most people will believe that that is not art, but maybe some...
Here's the thing, man. I think that what you are doing right here on this, and what I think that this is art. I think that, yeah, content creation is art. Whether or not you enjoy it, whether or not you jive with it, whether or not it's particularly serious art, art does not have to be this, self-important, thing all the time. Like, finger painting is still art, So, like, yeah, sometimes art is provocative art, especially. Lots of people think it's ugly, and lots of it, you have lots of people saying it's not art. Like, look at Jackson Pollock. How many people still say that the shit's not art? It's just splattered paint, So, yeah, I think that's an unreasonable, yeah.
Some people logically will be able to like justify it to be some sort of form of artistic expression. I personally don't see it that way. I think that's a crutch that she's using there. But just to turn it back to Lilly Tino's side now, unfortunately, there's another video here, part of the interview, which I think is just as fucking ridiculous as a lot of the other bullshit allegations that have been levied against her. Lilly Tino turns red after PDF question. We're expecting Lilly Tino to be, you can call her that red panda from that one Disney film, the way that she's about to turn red here.
Ever communicated with a minor in an inappropriate way?
No.
There's an allegation of a stream and a mom coming in and changing the subject.
The vegetable thing? I made a video about that. That person was 25 years old. There are people in this.
Oh my god, she's turning red. Oh, it's just like the panda. Oh, fucking hell, that's horrible. Oh my jeez. Oh, is that Lilly Tino or is that a fucking red delicious? Naz, be sure to zoom in on her face right now as I'm talking and notice how it's not red at all. And certainly no redder than it was at the start of the video. The only thing red in this fucking video is the text that you've used. I just don't understand how people can buy. This has 2 million views and 130,000 likes and it's just complete bullshit. Unfounded bullshit. People accuse me of being like too defensive of this woman. How the fuck can I not defend her when the allegations are this fucking shoddy and like clearly manipulative as well? I'll give her fucking critiques where she deserves to be critiqued, but I'm not gonna just baselessly and mindlessly, carelessly denigrate the woman either. I learned in my psych class that when people look left a lot or move their eyes to the left a lot when speaking, it's because they're lying. I don't remember the reason why the body does that, but it's my favorite thing to look for when having certain conversations with people. Just fuck off, you pretentious wee soppy bastard. Fucking hell. Thank fuck that TikToker is not in a court system or a judge anywhere, because man, how the world would be such a horrible place if that's all it took. Anyway, after all this, Lilly Tino put out this rather perplexing video. It's very out of character for her. It's her basically announcing in a roundabout way that she's quitting for the time being. So let's give this a watch.
So the whole point of why I do what I do, which is create content, is to educate and to entertain, in that order.
Also money as well. And let's not sit here and pretend like we don't make videos for money. Every content creator makes videos for money. Like, there's a lot of content creators who have
No. Nuh-uh. Lies. No money.
such a passion for it that if they weren't making any money from it, they would still be making videos. I myself am one of those people. If, social media had no money in it, tomorrow I would go and get a job at fucking Nando's or something, like a normal job, and then still make videos on the side, but a lot less frequently. In fact, for me in particular, I actually think my videos would be better if I wasn't making any money from them, because I wouldn't be under a time schedule or want to get a video out in a certain amount of time in order to capitalize on the relevancy of whatever topic it is. I can just sort of take my time, do whatever I want. Well, that's besides the point, right? But anyone who makes like content like Lilly Tino does, and then say that the main purpose is to educate or entertain people, is clearly chatting shit. Especially when she adds in that order, because she herself admitted in the interview that she doesn't want to do videos at home, even though they very well could be more educational, because they would be boring. That seems to me as though the entertain part comes before.
Because if it's not entertaining, people won't watch it. It's about having your educational content get reach. It's like I talk about serious topics while yelling hysterically at people in an effort to, to try to make people pay. Like, you have to have one with the other. We are all content spoon-fed, dopamine-addicted babies, that if you don't have something that is providing you with a dopamine hit, you're not going to stay engaged with it long enough. And, when we're talking about, like, dry and or gross medical shit, like, yeah, you're probably going to want to throw a gimmick or two in there. Like,
the entertainment, no, the education part. This is my bad. It's two E words. It's difficult for me.
And I think that recently my content has taken a bit of a shift to be more, well, I'm hurt. I am deeply hurt because of the amount of hate that I've gotten over the past 3 years doing this, 2.5 years. And that hurt has influenced the way that I do things. As a content creator, especially as a streamer, I'm always on camera, talking all the time, daily updates about where I'm at. And I think that the hurt that I feel has influenced the way that I've pushed in my content to be confrontational and be in your face about what I'm trying to do, which is ultimately teach people about trans things.
So this does seem to be an acknowledgement that she has shifted towards the direction of rage bait and being provocative, which she vehemently denied in the interview. Maybe over the past week or so she's come to terms with reality or done some self-introspection or something along those lines. Maybe this is yet another scheme for attention because she thought she was becoming less relevant or something. Who really knows? So either which way, I think it's good that she's coming to this realization if it is real and she is being genuine. I do wonder why it only came to her now and not earlier on, but I guess better late than never. Once again though, I have reservations about giving her complete credit because I really don't know how genuine this actually is. But it is true what she's saying. I do think there's validity to the words that are actually being uttered here, because when you go back on Lilly Tino's account, it was a lot less provocative at the start of her career, right? It was a lot more focused on education and less on rage bait. And then maybe one video that got people angry skyrocketed, and then she sort of learned or realized, ooh, getting people angry seems to be the way to go on this app.
Hopefully make for a more accepting world. But I don't want the hurt to be a part of it anymore. That shift is not fun for me at all. It's actually really awful. And it doesn't just impact me, but my family and my friends. And, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm always going to be a confrontational person, but I think there's ways to do it that are not channeling the anger I feel at the world for hurting me.
There's a lot of parts of this video that I do think are undoubtedly true. Like the bit about how this impacts her and her family. It's like, yeah, no doubt. No matter how apologetic you are, whether it be genuine or fake or crocodile tears or whatever the fuck, right? There's no doubt that the amount of hate that you're getting online has an effect on you. It would have an effect on 99.9% of people. And if it has that much of an effect on you, it will also have an effect on your family, who would have been affected by it either way because they don't want their family member being talked about like shit on the internet. And if she does genuinely want to change and stop the hatred to, the extent that she is getting it, maybe it's never going to completely go, but maybe make it closer to what a normal amount of hatred for a social media personality is, then that is within her power. She can do that. And it would take a shift in content, and it would also take a video like this, to be fair, where she acknowledges everything that she has done wrong. And then, but this is the important bit, you need to actually shift into content that is educational and not rage baity, and I guess demonstrates a genuine effort to do what you're saying you want to do.
So to that end, I'm gonna take a break. I don't know when I'll be back. I'll be back, but I don't know when. I need to take some time. I'm not gonna change myself for anybody. That's never gonna happen. But I am going to work on the way that my hurt has taken over my content in some ways. So, thank you for all the support, and we'll see you somewhere down the road.
And that's the video. I feel like it's pretty succinct, pretty fair, honestly, and there's not much else to say about it. I hope it's real. I hope it's not rage bait. I hope it's not a ploy for attention, and I wish her all the best. I hope that this is real, and I hope that she learns from her errors, and that if she ever does come back, it's in a way that is less provocative, less rage baity, and more of an effort to actually help the community that she claims to care about so much. I have a feeling that the comments of this video will have nowhere near as much sympathy, but we'll have a quick look. I mean, yep, 4 in a row of the same copy and pasted bullshit comment that garner up to like 10,000 likes when you combine them all. What a shock. Now, usually at the end of my videos, I go over a comment or something, but it's like 5 a.m. here, and my beautiful, amazing girlfriend is
like
literally fallen asleep on the floor because she didn't want to go to bed until I was done recording for whatever reason. So I don't want to sit here and go on a long rant like I did in my last video. So to replace that, I will show you this fat bird on the shelf. See this fat pigeon thing? I love it. I got it from the Barrows here in Glasgow, which is like a market sale. If you know what Camden Market is, it's sort of like that, but before it was gentrified, it's so much better than that shit. A lot of people get together, and it's a fucking lovely place. Got that GameCube from there as well. Where is it? Where is it on the shelf? There it is, over there. GameCube. Oh, my head's covering it. My fat head. Got that GameCube there. And I got this fat bird from...
All right. Not that I don't care about and love the fat bird, but I think that we can probably wrap that up. So, Jesse, if you are watching, the biggest thing that I would love for you to consider and would love to hear a response back about is the Kurt Cobain being trans speculatively thing, right? We're talking someone who literally has been dead for more than 30 years, whose child is middle-aged, basically, and who has, had his death speculated about since he died, and with, his wife and the mother of his child being the person that speculation has been about. So, like, if that's all perfectly acceptable with everybody, you know, and he did speak about gender. He did wear dresses. He did like this is not something that was pulled out of nowhere. So to suggest that he probably wasn't, and that's why it would be offensive, or like, like the only reason that it's offensive is because you think there's something wrong with it. Because if you were speculating anything, like if you're speculating about whether or not he liked to cook, or if you're speculating about whether or not he was good at soccer, or, I don't know, any number of things that, like, why is it a problem? Because if you can't articulate it, if it's just a nebulous, well, I don't know, I think you really need to look at that because I think that that is probably some transphobia that you're not recognizing, And like, we are living in a society that is phobic of many things, is racist, and is, like, I, so it is what it is, and I don't think that you are intentionally being transphobic at all, right? But there's something going on there that you're not meshing with. You're not meshing your feelings with the idea that you don't want to offend people and you don't want to be offensive and you don't want to be transphobic, but you clearly have some negative feelings here. And you need to like reconcile those if this is all gonna make sense to you. Because I think that when you do that, and really, if we're looking at like the content that she's making, the bathroom thing is the only thing that is really weird. Because it's like the corn dog videos at Disney, like there were no kids around. It's just a pretty place outside. Does it cause people to be rage baity because people are, yeah, I mean, sure. But I think that that's on those people. I don't think that there's actually anything that's endangering children. And I think that trans people living for perception to make other people comfortable is bullshit, and I will never. So I don't think that Lilly Tino should have to do it either. Um, you know, and as being trans absolutely algorithmically cucks you. I mean, we have a smaller audience of people who are going to watch us, man. It is what it is because there are going to be people who will not watch us because we are trans. That if we were not, they would. That the content, who we are, everything, like, like I know for a fact there are people who didn't realize at first, and then once they clocked me, they left. Even people who see all the fucking rainbow shit, like, I can see that this is over here. Why am I pointing over there? Fucking camera in front of me. Like, yeah, because queer people can be transphobic too. Like, it's, not something that is exclusive to the straights. I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts, opinions? Yeah. Thank you for listening if you've gotten this far. If you've gotten this far, please leave a frog in the comments. I love you. Be safe. Make good choices.